Nora Dalmasso's murder shattered the quiet, affluent neighborhood of Rio Cuarto and exposed secrets that no one saw coming. What started as the tragic death of a beloved mother and wife quickly spiraled into a web of lies, betrayal, and legal battles that would tear apart families and divide public opinion across Argentina. The shocking revelations that emerged during the investigation were so explosive that they changed how an entire nation viewed love, marriage, and justice. But the most shocking part? After all these years, the truth might still be buried. In this episode, we're diving into a case that's haunted Argentina for 18 years. A case where truth is buried under layers of rumor, corruption, and chaos. A case that asks, who was Nora Dalmasso really? And why has justice eluded her family? But before we dive in, some of the details in this story are extremely disturbing and may not be suitable for all audiences, so viewer discretion is strongly advised. As always, remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to stay up to date with the channel. All right, let's dive into the video. Nora Raquel Dalmasso Macaron was born on January 17, 1955, into a prominent family in Rio Cuarto, a city in Argentina's Córdoba province. Her parents, Delia Nene Grassi and her father, were pillars of high society, wealthy, generous, and deeply embedded in the community through their businesses and philanthropy. Nora grew up in privilege, but she wasn't just a socialite. She was a mother of two, Facundo and Valentina, a wife to a respected physician, Marcelo Macaron, and a woman known for her radiant smile and tireless charity work. To outsiders, Nora was the epitome of perfection. Elegant, youthful, and flawless, but perfection, it's a fragile illusion. On Friday, November 24, 2006, Nora was 51 years old. That evening, she went out for dinner with friends at a local restaurant, sipping champagne, laughing, and enjoying a rare moment of freedom. Her husband, Marcelo, was away in Uruguay competing in a golf tournament. Her 16-year-old daughter, Valentina, was also out of town. Her son, Facundo, a 20-year-old law student, was reportedly in Córdoba, 125 miles away. Nora returned home alone to her sprawling chalet in Villa Golf, a gated community where wealth shielded residents from the outside world. But something, or someone, followed her home. The next day, Saturday, November 25th, passed quietly. Too quietly. By Sunday morning, a neighbor entered the Dalmasso home, perhaps out of concern, perhaps routine. What they found would shatter the facade of Villa Golf forever. In Valentina's bedroom, Nora lay face up on a single bed. She was naked, except for a Rolex watch glinting on her wrist. The belt of her bathrobe was tied in a double knot around her neck. There were no signs of forced entry, no valuables missing, no disarray. The scene was eerily calm, almost staged. Nora Dalmasso was dead, and the question that would haunt Argentina for years was born. Who did this? Police arrived quickly, but what followed was chaos. The crime scene wasn't properly secured. Nearly 30 people, investigators, family members, even a priest, had access to the house in those critical early hours. Journalists swarmed the gates, snapping photos, spinning stories. The lack of defensive wounds or signs of struggle led police to a chilling conclusion. Nora likely knew her killer. But who? And why? The answers would prove elusive, buried under an avalanche of speculation and scandal. Within hours, Nora's death became a national obsession. The Los Angeles Times compared it to the O.J. Simpson case, and they weren't wrong. Argentina's media descended on Rio Cuarto like vultures, tearing into every detail of Nora's life. Her smile, her socialite status, her family's wealth. It was all fodder. But it wasn't just the murder that captivated the public. It was the rumors, whispers of affairs, orgies, spouse swapping in Villa Golf's gated walls. The press painted Nora as a woman with secrets, a femme fatale whose private life was anything but perfect. The media didn't just report the story, they rewrote it. Nora, the perfect mother, was suddenly a woman of scandal. Reports claimed she'd been having affairs, possibly with multiple lovers. One name surfaced, Guillermo Albarracin, a friend of her husband. Intimate texts found on Nora's phone fueled speculation that Marcelo had discovered the affair and acted out of rage. But there was a problem. Marcelo was in Uruguay, his alibi backed by a golf tournament schedule. The theory didn't hold water, but the media didn't care. They had a story, and they were running with it. Then came the DNA. The belt used to strangle Nora carried traces of Macaron family DNA. This could have pointed to Marcelo, his father Felix, or his son Facundo. The investigation zeroed in on Facundo, the 20-year-old law student. In June 2007, he was charged with homicide and aggravated sexual abuse. The allegations were explosive, matricide, laced with rumors of incest and disapproval of Facundo's rumored homosexuality. The media went feral. Headlines screamed of an Oedipal tragedy. Facundo's life was torn apart, his reputation shredded. But there was a catch. The DNA evidence was shaky, and Facundo's alibi held. He was in Córdoba, not Rio Cuarto, when his mother died. The accusations against Facundo sparked outrage. Protests erupted in Rio Cuarto, with residents calling the investigation a sham. A house painter was briefly arrested, then released after public backlash. Prosecutors and police resigned in disgrace. The case was falling apart, but the media kept pushing. They speculated about sex games gone wrong, about Nora's lovers, about hidden motives. Every rumor was a new death for Nora, a death of her reputation, her dignity, her legacy. By 2007, the investigation was a mess. Evidence was mishandled, the crime scene contaminated. The media had turned Nora's tragedy into a soap opera, and the public ate it up. But behind the headlines, a family was grieving. Facundo and Valentina lost their mother, their privacy, and their trust in justice. Marcelo, despite his alibi, remained under scrutiny. The question lingered: if not them, then who? Years passed, but Nora's case didn't fade. It festered. In 2016, Marcelo Macaron became the focus again. Prosecutors alleged he'd orchestrated Nora's murder, either by flying back from Uruguay on a private jet or hiring a hitman, motivated by her alleged affair. The theory was dramatic but flimsy. DNA sent to the FBI's Quantico lab confirmed Marcelo's genetic material on the murder weapon, but as a resident of the house, this wasn't conclusive. In 2022, after a highly publicized trial, Marcelo was acquitted. The prosecution admitted they lacked evidence. Marcelo walked free, but the stain of suspicion lingered. The trial exposed the rot in the investigation, the failure to secure the crime scene, the media's role in amplifying unproven theories, the pressure on prosecutors to deliver a suspect, any suspect. Nora's mother, Nene Grassi, pointed to another possibility: Roberto Barzola, a 27-year-old floor polisher who'd worked in the Dalmasso home days before the murder. In 2007, the family urged authorities to test his DNA, but the request was ignored. For years, Barzola remained a footnote, until 2024. In December 2024, a breakthrough. DNA from the robe belt and a hair found on Nora's body matched Roberto Barzola, now 45. He was charged with murder and sexual crimes, but here's where it gets murky. Barzola claims he barely knew Nora, that he was only in the house for work. He says he volunteered for DNA testing in 2007 to clear his name, but authorities never followed through. His defense argues the statute of limitations, 15 years in Argentina, should dismiss the charges. A judge rejected this, but as of June 2025, the case remains in limbo. Barzola is a suspect, but not convicted. And the statute's expiration raises a question. Even if he's guilty, can justice be served? The Barzola development feels like a glimmer of hope. but it's tainted by 18 years of missteps. Why wasn't his DNA tested sooner? Why did the investigation focus on Nora's family while ignoring other leads? And why does the Argentine justice system seem so ill-equipped to handle this case? These questions linger, unanswered, as Nora's story continues to unravel. Before we continue on, if you are enjoying the video so far, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you don't like it, let me know down in the comments. Your support truly means everything. All right, back to the video. In June 2025, Netflix released The Many Deaths of Nora Dalmasso, a 3-part documentary that pulls back the curtain on this tragedy. Through interviews with Nora's friends, lawyers, and journalists, it paints a picture of a woman caught in a web of societal judgment. The series doesn't just recount the crime, it dissects how the media and public turned Nora into a caricature, a femme fatale, a flawed wife, a victim not just of murder, but of a culture that condemned her without evidence. The title, The Many Deaths of Nora Dalmasso, is hauntingly apt. Nora didn't just die once. She died when her reputation was slandered, when her son was accused of unthinkable crimes, when her husband was branded a mastermind. She died in every headline, every rumor, every whispered theory in Rio Cuarto's cafes. The documentary argues that Nora's case is more than a murder. It's a mirror held up to Argentina's judicial failures, media sensationalism, and obsession with scandal. Viewers were outraged but not surprised. The documentary highlights what many already suspected. The investigation was botched from the start. Contaminated evidence, unchecked rumors, and a justice system buckling under public pressure. It also raises a deeper question. Was Nora's death a femicide, as the documentary suggests? A crime rooted in gender, power, or betrayal? Or was it something else entirely? A moment of passion, a mistake? It is a secret. We'll probably never find out. "18 years later, Nora Dalmasso's case remains unsolved. Roberto Barzola is the latest suspect, but his guilt is far from certain. The statute of limitations looms like a guillotine, threatening to close the case forever. Marcelo and Facundo have been cleared, but the scars of suspicion remain. Valentina, Nora's daughter, has stayed out of the spotlight, her grief private but unimaginable. And Nora herself? She's become a ghost, a symbol of a justice system that failed, a media that exploited, and a society that judged. So what do we know? Nora was strangled in her daughter's bedroom, likely by someone she knew. The crime wasn't premeditated according to medical examiners, but the lack of struggle suggests trust or betrayal. The DNA evidence, once a cornerstone, is now a question mark, tainted by years of mishandling. The media's role turned a tragedy into a spectacle, and the public's hunger for scandal kept it alive. But the truth? It's still out there, buried under the noise. The official narrative points to Barzola, but the evidence is circumstantial at best. His DNA on the robe and body could be explained by his work in the house, though the hair in such an intimate location raises questions. Was he a scorned worker, a lover, or just a convenient scapegoat? Then there's the affair angle. Nora's alleged relationship with Guillermo Albarracin never led to concrete evidence of motive. Marcelo's acquittal rules him out, but some still whisper about a third lover, someone who slipped through the cracks. And the media's favorite theory, incest, was never substantiated, just a cruel rumor that destroyed Facundo's life. Or maybe the truth is simpler. A crime of opportunity, a moment of rage, a mistake that spiraled. The lack of forced entry and struggle suggests Nora let her killer in and trusted them. But trust can be a double-edged sword. In a city like Rio Cuarto, where appearances are everything, secrets have a way of festering. Maybe Nora's death wasn't about sex or scandal, but something quieter. Jealousy, shame, or a truth we might never know. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want a deep dive, then check out the Netflix documentary, The Many Deaths of Nora Dalmasso, or check out the videos on the screen now. If you have a topic suggestion, please send it to the email in the description. And as always, remember to like, share the video, and subscribe to our channel. And remember, the only thing stranger than this story is missing out on our next video.